Hello, Commanders fans. Today we have some hot news that you can't miss. So get ready because there's a lot of important information coming. Before we start, we'd like to take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and stay up to date with all the news about our Washington Commanders. Don't forget to leave a like, which really strengthens our community and helps bring this content to the most passionate fans of the team. Now, without further ado, let's get straight to today's news. Eagles' top free agent reportedly signed to the Commanders. The Washington Commanders could make a major move on the defensive line this offseason that could directly impact how the team approaches free agency. Bleacher Report writer Christopher Knox has named the Commanders as a possible destination for Philadelphia Eagles defensive tackle Milton Williams. Williams switching alleys? Few players have made their name more valuable in 2024 than Milton Williams. The Eagles' defensive tackle, who turned 26 in April, recorded 7 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, 10 quarterback hits, and 12 QB pressures during the regular season. Williams finished the game with 4 tackles, 2 sacks, and a forced fumble, reinforcing his impact in the deciding game. The Commanders' need for defensive line reinforcements may not be urgent, but a potential pairing of Williams with Darren Payne and Jonathan Allen would create a top-tier defensive front. Additionally, Washington has about $79.5 million in projected salary cap space, which allows for the possibility of adding Williams to a long-term deal would also give the Commanders an alternative for the future, allowing for adjustments on defense if Payne or Allen's performance declines in the coming years. While the defensive line isn't the biggest need at the moment, bringing in one of the top free agents available while also weakening a division rival like the Eagles could be a smart move for Washington. Washington Commanders among favorites to acquire former Super Bowl MVP. The Washington Commanders are still looking to reinforce their receiving core, especially someone who can play alongside Terry McLaurin and offer the team more offensive options. In this context, a big name has emerged on the market: Cooper Kupp. The Los Angeles Rams wide receiver, who recently requested a trade, could be available, and the Commanders are considered one of the main favorites to acquire him. Kupp's possibility in Washington. The idea of Kupp joining the Washington offense makes a lot of sense. The receiver performs best when playing in the slot, a position where the Commanders lack a dominant presence. In addition, his resume is impressive: Super Bowl champion, MVP of the Grand Final, Offensive Player of the Year, and NFL leader in receptions and touchdowns in the 2021 season. Although these accomplishments are a few years old, Kupp's talent and experience are still undeniable. The 32-year-old will turn 32 next season, raising questions about his durability and long-term impact. But his presence on the roster could provide an immediate solution for Washington's offense. Competition in the running. The Commanders aren't alone in this race. Other teams that have expressed interest include the New England Patriots, Denver Broncos, and Detroit Lions. Each of those teams is also looking to bolster their offensive lines, making the competition for Kupp even tighter. Production and health questions. Despite his successful track record, Kupp hasn't been able to replicate the exceptional numbers from his 2021 campaign. That year, he recorded an impressive 145 receptions and 16 touchdowns. Since then, however, his stats have dropped significantly: 75 receptions in 2022, 59 in 2023, and 67 in 2024, for a combined total of just 17 touchdowns over those 3 years. Additionally, the wide receiver has been dealing with ongoing physical issues, having suffered injuries in each of the past 3 seasons. This could be a critical factor in General Manager Adam Peters' decision, as he will need to assess how much Kupp can still contribute at a high level and what would be a fair compensation to bring him to Washington. Financial situation and draft options. The Commanders enter this offseason in a favorable financial position, with approximately $80 million available under the salary cap. In addition, the team has 7 picks in the upcoming NFL draft, which could facilitate negotiations to strengthen the roster. With these conditions, Washington has the flexibility to evaluate the possibility of acquiring Kupp, either through an outright trade or involving draft picks. If the goal is to provide quarterback Jaden Daniels with a more skilled receiving core, Cooper Kupp would certainly be a valuable asset. However, it remains to be seen whether the cost-benefit of the trade will be considered advantageous by the Commanders' front office. Commanders should take advantage of the bizarre coincidence of erratic free agents. It makes perfect sense for the Washington Commanders to look closely at their division rivals when evaluating potential free agent signings this offseason. The Commanders should have a better understanding of the Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Cowboys, and New York Giants free agents than they do players from other teams. If they can steal one or two serious contributors, the benefit is twofold. Washington improves while simultaneously weakening a team they play twice a year. Philadelphia has several players who would look great in Commanders' colors next year. Given Dan Quinn's knowledge of the Cowboys roster, it's likely he's eyeing a Dallas free agent or two as well. The Giants are a different story. They're the worst team in the NFC East. They have the weakest roster in the division. They're less likely to have free agents who could draw as much interest as could be found on Washington's other two rivals. There's a fascinating piece of trivia that might suggest otherwise. Each of the last 5 Super Bowl winners has had a former Giants player on the roster. In 4 of the 5 cases, that player was a significant factor in their success. This is likely a mere statistical coincidence, a quirk with little correlation to actual on-field success. However, there is another way to look at this trend. It could signal a team lacking talent, but it could also signal a team that simply has no idea how to use that talent. The Commanders should consider taking a chance on Isaiah Simmons in free agency. Which brings us to Isaiah Simmons. If nothing else, Commanders fans should remember the athletically gifted Simmons from a 2023 game. He intercepted Sam Howell's desperation pass with less than 30 seconds remaining and returned it 54 yards for a touchdown, sealing the Giants' victory. Simmons doesn't have many other standout plays at the professional level. When he does make them, they tend to be spectacular. The former Clemson standout did it last season when he leapt over center and blocked a field goal attempt that would have allowed the Seattle Seahawks to tie the game in the final minute. But that was the exception in 2024. The Giants traded for their 2020 first-round pick and then re-signed him before last season. But they barely played him. Simmons played less than 20% of the defensive snaps in 2024. This wouldn't be the first time Washington has considered Simmons. Before the 2020 draft, the versatile defender was flying up draft boards. His freakish athletic gifts were jaw-dropping. At just under 240 pounds, he ran a sub-4.4 second 40-yard dash. At Clemson, he lined up at virtually every position on the defense. But his best position would almost certainly be at linebacker. Washington needed a linebacker. I was one of many who suggested that trading the number 2 pick and taking Simmons might be a smart move. If the Commanders lose Bobby Wagner to free agency, they'll need a replacement immediately. Even if they keep the perennial All-Pro, his time is limited. Would a supremely talented player who's just 26 and has demonstrated the ability to make big plays at the NFL level be an attractive option? Probably, if the money works. The seemingly lucky charm quality that has clung to former Giants players of late would just be a bonus.